Hey guys, this is Dr. Sean over at, we're doing basically a review of the lymphatic system. Okay, this is going to be for those of you who are taking one of my classes here. This is the Fortis College Chapter 20. We're going to go over the lymphatic system. Now the lymphatic system is a pretty interesting system because it is connected to the circulatory system. The circulatory system, remember, has the heart and the lungs, the cardiovascular system, the heart and lungs, and then all of the arteries and veins. Now remember some points. Arteries always go away from the heart and veins always come back too. So really we can call these lymphatic vessels, but we can also call them veins because they go back towards the system. They all start at the very ends of our feet and our fingers and the top of our head and all these other organs, and they slowly filter the blood and the other intracellular and intracellular fluids back into itself, okay, the lymph system, and slowly it moves back to the subclavian veins. Subclavian, underneath, they call it clavicles are here, subclavian underneath, and they travel into basically the vena cava. Okay, and that goes back to the heart, and that goes back to the right part of the right side of the heart, and then the left side of the heart, and then back out through the system, and eventually ends up in the liver where it can be detoxed and purified, basically. Now, what is lymph? Lymph is basically the fluid that is not blood. Okay, so the same thing. So remember, the liquid part of blood is called plasma, right? So here we have plasma, P-L-A-S-M-A, and it's a watery fluid that has different proteins, different minerals, nutrients, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and waste products already diffused into it. And it's going to travel all the way through the whole system, through in the vascular system, and so it's going to go from the heart, right? This is all review, through the aorta, down through arteries, from arteries to arterioles, from arterioles to capillaries, where it's going to push out its oxygen and bring back some CO2. And there's spaces in there for that fluid to move back and forth, depending on the electrolytes. Remember, electrolytes are basically minerals that are stored in the fluids and help fluids move back and forth. So let's draw a little bit of, anyway, let's go back to plasma. So plasma eventually turns into, right, because the way it moves, it becomes intercellular. Okay, and then it becomes intra, I-N-T-R-A, cellular. You can't read that. Okay, intercellular, between the cells, intracellular, inside the cells, where it's called cytoplasm. Okay, same word, plasma, plasm. Then it becomes, again, it'll go back out through here, basically. Comes like this. Okay, it goes this way, back the intracellular between. Then over here, well, we're going to put it down here. Becomes lymph. Okay, when it gets to the lymph system. Lymph system eventually brings it all the way back to the heart, and it becomes plasma all over again. So it's a recycled fluid is what I'm saying. And it has a lot more white blood cells. It has a lot of oil in it. It's the filtrate of all these other things. Now, if you've ever seen someone who had really swollen ankles, okay, or sometimes even a swollen hand, if they've had lymph nodes removed, sometimes that can cause what's called lymphedema. The edema, the swelling of the lymph. Now that's called pitting edema if you put your finger and press in it, right? And especially the ankles and the feet and stuff like that. You push your finger there and it leaves a pit. That's called pitting edema. And that's that plasma and lymph has left the system and is now between all the cells that's starting to ooze out through the system. You'll even see their skin is oily, and that's this stuff. And this stuff, lymph mostly, okay? So let's go through and go to the next part of how it moves through those systems. Okay, so this is that second part of the lymphatic system. And what we need to talk about is where everything goes. So let's put the skin out here, and we're going to put basically our 3 layers of skin. There's epidermis, here's the dermis, and here's hypodermis. And those are made of cells, of course, right? So we got cells all over the place into here. And we're going to put a capillary, right? Capillary goes like this, out through here. So this is going to be the alveolar, the alveolar side, not the alveolar side. Sorry, the arterial. So it's going this way, and this is the venule. It's going this way. So blood is traveling this way. These are red blood cells in through here. And those are going to be serving these guys, which are your little cells, right? These are some cells. There's the nuclei right in here. And then we're going to have here, basically, a lymph vessel. Okay? There's our lymph vessel. So as fluid comes through this whole system, okay, and remember, here's our epidermis, here's hairs and whatever, all that stuff. So as fluid comes through here, the arterioles, the blood becomes the capillary. This is the capillary right here. Okay, that's this whole thing, and there's the blood cells. And they're going to drop off oxygen and pick up CO2 and take that off, right, all through here to these cells. And it's going to diffuse or filtrate through these areas. Plasma from the blood is going to filter through here and become interstitial fluid, which is between the cells, right? And then it's going to become intracellular fluid and intracellular fluid between them, right? And then eventually that's going to work its way in through here and out through here and from there into here and become lymph. And lymph is going to pick up a lot of other what are called filtrates, which are little pieces of this and that, and probably toxins and different maybe broken down pieces and whatever. Remember, it's kind of like the garbage, I don't know, the sewer system, a little bit like the sewer system of the system, whatever that makes. So as we get in through here, let's make sure I have my microphone on. As we get in through here, we're going to see this blood go from here, plasma filters out, becomes interstitial fluid, right? The interstitial fluid becomes intracellular fluid. Intracellular fluid is between the cells. Then it's the same as interstitial fluid. Then it becomes lymph, and lymph gets in through here, and it's going to travel this way. There's these one-way valves here, right? They go all the way back up, remember, into the subclavian veins. So remember also the veins, because blood's traveling this way, veins will also eventually have some of these little, what are they called? Valves that you'll have, and they'll be kind of like, this kind of thing. And they'll hang together, and as blood can go this way but not back the other way. Now a varicose vein is when one of these kind of like, let's see, put one here that's kind of broken apart or something like that, right? That blood's going to rush back through here and put pressure in here, and we're going to get like this kind of thing going on, okay? And there we go. We have one good vessel down here, and then this whole area and through here is going to swell up, and you're going to end up with all of this blood, okay, in this area. So anyway, there we go. That's our little bit for the next part of the lymph system. The other part I want to go through too, which I'm going to do right now, is the lymph nodes themselves. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe down below. And if you're going to leave any comments or something, do so in the either email or discussion boards. We'll go from there. This is Dr. Sean. Watch the next part. Bye again. Okay, this is important. Having a battery is important. Having working lights is important. Having the chip in is important. These are all things that I forgot to do. Actually, I forgot to turn, the battery died when I was doing the last part. So this is actually the third part because I finished it. And it's like 20 minutes of stuff. So anyway, let's go again. We're hitting lymph system. This is a lymph node. Lymph node, as you remember, the lymph system is a one-way system. Okay, it doesn't have a pump. The only way it gets pumped is by movement or by breathing, which is kind of a bellows action and kind of gets it to move back and forth. This is the fluid that is filtered, here we are, filtrate, from the tissues into the lymph system. Okay, now these are called afferent, which go into the lymph node. Where are lymph nodes? Lymph nodes, you have them around your ear called periauricular. You have them inside, which are, the tonsils are technically lymph nodes. You have cervical lymph nodes through here. We have axillary ones in the armpit. We have breast ones and chest ones, and some on the intestines called Peyer's patches. And then we even have inguinal ones, which all should not be palpable, which means you can't feel them, right? So if you're feeling through here and you find a little lump, you're like, oh wow, what the hell is that? If it's really tender, that could be a lymph node that's swollen up. Good to get it checked, okay? That could mean that something's going on in that little lymph node and causing it to swell up. Now, afferently comes from the filtrate of the blood through the interstitial and intracellular and intercellular fluids back into this lymph system, okay? The afferent goes to the lymph nodes and then efferent out of the lymph nodes, E for exit, okay? Now, these little guys in through here are sinuses. They're open spaces. In there are white blood cells and stuff to check. Think of this as a giant TSA, and here you're going to go to the terminal, and here you're coming in from the trains or whatever. This is TSA. Everybody lines up and gets checked. They check your ID and make sure you're doing okay. All that kind of stuff. They take your temperature, just like they're doing nowadays. Basically, that's TSA, or that's a lymph node. Okay. LN for lymph node, T for tissue. Okay, there we go. That's the direction it moves, and that's what a lymph node looks like. It's has a hilus, okay, and it's kind of a bean-shaped thing. You'll find this in your book as well. So it's a pretty short chapter. Unfortunately, that's terrible, and I'll tell you why in just a minute, because we're going to go over each section of where all of this stuff is. Okay, so hang on.